Well, hey everyone, welcome back to this video series on how you can find purpose in your work. My name is Scott Azadorian, and Be Willing is an organization whose sole mission is to equip and empower you on your career journey. Now, in this first episode, what I want to share with you is a simple strategy that you can use to find your calling. And the way I look at it, to find your God-given purpose for the work that you were always intended to do. And this strategy has just 3 elements to it, or factors or tips, depending on what you want to call them, that you can really quickly go through that provide a roadmap to your ideal work. So we're going to go through those, and then after we do that, I want to share with you, and I want to make a connection back to the introductory video. And in the introduction, I talked about that culture and faith have a huge role in the work that we choose and how we choose to do that work. And so I want to share with you a story that was just in the news recently to sort of demonstrate this a little bit more. But let's hold on that for a second. Let's jump right in to these 3 factors. Now, you can journal these out. You can talk to your friends about them. If you're a believer in a faith, you can pray through them. These 3 factors are really simple to identify, and they're very helpful. So let's start with factor number 1. The best way to think of factor number 1 is it occurred in the past. Factor number 1 is an origin story, and here's what I mean. I want you to think about the work you've done in the past, the type of work, the types of companies you were working for, or the types of projects that you were working on. I want you to think about the type of work that when you were doing it, you lost track of time. You didn't care about what time it was. You didn't care about how long you were doing it. You know, when you contrast this with people who hate the work that they do, what do? Every 20 minutes, they're looking at the clock saying, I can't wait for this day to be over. When you are operating in your God-given calling, time is not an issue. You'll work 10, 20 hours if you could on what you're doing because you're so engrossed in it, okay? All right, also within factor number 1, I want you to think about the work that you're doing. What kind of work have you been doing in the past where, now this is interesting, where you didn't care about how well it went, okay? So in other words, you started something new, you knew that it was going to take you a while to really get good at it, but you didn't care because the work itself was what was pleasing, not the outcome. Now, there's a lot of research behind this, and if you've never heard of this before, it's basically called the difference between having a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And the woman who I think popularized this, her name is Carol Dweck, and she's done a lot of research on it. But when you find your calling, your purpose for the work you're doing, you will operate in a growth mindset, meaning success or failure, success is always nice, but it doesn't matter. You know that you have a long-term goal here, and you're willing to put the time in to learn and fail and repeat and keep doing it again until you get it to where you want it to be. Okay, so in factor number 1, you're looking in the past. All right, factor number 2. Now this one is interesting. When you think about the people that know you best, your family, your friends, your coworkers, whoever you are around the most, here's what I want you to sort of journal out and think through. When people need advice and when they come to you for advice, what kinds of things are they asking for your help on? Now, people are not asking for your help to make you feel good. They're asking for your help to solve a problem that they have. So if you notice a pattern where people are always coming to you for the same kinds of things, man, that's a big clue that this is the kind of work that you've been just, equipped to do. So also within factor number 2, and then very similar, when you're in just general conversation with people, maybe it's at dinner, maybe you're just hanging out, maybe you're watching a game with your friends, or you're just, you're hanging with your coworkers. What do people just say unsolicited about you? Like, hey man, you do that really well, or it's amazing how well or how great you do that. The things that people are saying unsolicited, the things that people are asking of you, in a sense unsolicited, those are a huge clue in what your calling is. All right, so take some time, think that through, look for patterns, look for similarities. All right, and the third factor, and this one is also equally important. There are a million problems in the world, right? Environmental problems, social problems, financial problems. There's no end to the problems that we have. Of all of the problems in the world, which ones are you most fired up to solve for other people? right? For me, one problem I've always been fired up to solve is to help people understand things that will help them in their chosen field, right? Whether I was working as an executive director or as a university professor or as a mentor, I love helping people feel more confident about what they do. I know there are similar things for you. The problems that you want to solve are a huge clue in the type of work that you should be looking to do. Now, here's why this is important. If you're fired up to solve a problem that no one cares about, I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but that's not going to make it easy for you to turn that into a career. A hobby, yes. Volunteering, yes. Career, not so much. All right, so those three factors, if you spend a week thinking about those, journaling on them, praying on them, talking to friends about them, I promise you, it is really going to help crystallize what your calling is, what your God-given calling is. All right, so let's take a pause here. Now, let me tell you about this news story. If you watch the introductory video, you heard me mention that there are two factors that are significantly impacting the work we do. Number one is your faith. And I said, faith is not simply the realm of religion, it's just what you deeply believe in. And number two is culture. So the Gallup organization just did a study or a poll in May of this year, May of 2023. And here's the question they asked people. Do you believe in God? It's a simple question. That was it. Now, 74% of the respondents, and you can look this poll up online, 74% of the respondents said that they did believe in God. They believed that there was a creator. That's who God is. So here's what I want you to think about. If God created you and me and everything that we see and touch and feel and things we can't see, then he certainly had an intent for his creation. And you might say, well, I don't know. How do you know that? Well, think about the times you create things. I don't care if it's you just created a really nice dinner for friends, or you created some social media post, or you created a cleanup day in your neighborhood. It doesn't matter what you created. You created some code for a website or whatever. You always create with an intent. The intent might be to please other people. It might be to please yourself. The intent might be to solve a problem. And my point here is this. If there's a creator, God, he has an intent for your life. That's good news. That means that you're valuable. You have a role that only you can play. And those three factors that we went through, those are likely there. This is my deeply held conviction. Those skills and abilities and passions and problems you want to solve, they're there because God put them there. And when he puts them there, he is going to help you take those and turn them into God-honoring work, good work. Okay? So here's where we're going in video number 2 or episode number 2. If you're tracking with me, or if at least you have an open mind to this, and I hope you do, in the next video, I want to tell you about why that's so important, why it's important to believe that God gave you those abilities. Because when you believe that, it revolutionizes how you think of your work, how you think about success, and how you think about risk. All right. Thank you for joining me for episode number 1. Again, if you have comments, questions, you love it, you hate it, please leave them in the notes and in the comments. I will sure to get back to you, and I will see you soon. My plan is to have a new video come out about every week. All right, guys, thank you so much.